Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. In today's video we're going to look at getting started in Warhammer 40,000 with the Necrons using the Hypercrypt Legion 2024 Holiday Battle Force box set. Today's video is sponsored by the Warhammer merch shop. Want to grab some merch for your favourite Warhammer army? You can use our affiliate link down below to grab your next purchase and help support the channel at the same time. And so, the first model in the box set is the Catan Shard of the Void Dragon, and this model actually can't lead our force as it is an enslaved Star God, so can never be the army's warlord. However, it is a big centerpiece of the box set and provides you with a really punchy model. Toughness 11 with 12 wounds and a 4-up save and invulnerable save of the same value as well. The model is dedicated to sort of ratting out enemy vehicles. It's got anti-vehicle on its Spear of the Void Dragon, which you can use at range for some pretty decent damage on a 1 attack profile, or in combat it gets 5 attacks with the weapon at strength 12 minus 3 AP damage d6 plus 2 with the anti-vehicle 2+, which is really cool. On top of that, in combat you've also got the Canoptech Tail Blades, which are an extra attacks profile. This means that they can just be extra attacks you get on top of the spear. And you've also got a Volactic Storm, a blast sustained hits 2 ranged weapon to give you some extra shooting. Now the model itself has, if you want to pay 5+ to back up those pretty decent defensive stats already, and the matter absorption ability means at the start of your shooting phase you select an enemy vehicle within 12 inch and potentially do some mortal damage to them and also regain some wounds yourself if you do. The Necrodermis rule means each time an attack is allocated to this model, you halve damage as well, making this model incredibly survivable with some decent offense power as well. Now the model actually leading our box set is the Overlord with Translocation Shroud. This is one of the newer Necron models that came out in their last update. It's a pretty cool version of Necron Overlord. Necron Overlord at standard, toughness 5, 2+ save and a 4-up invulnerable there as well with 6 wounds, pretty decent. And it also wields a Overlord's Blade, which is a devastating wounds strength, a AP minus 3 damage to weapon, with which it gets 4 attacks. Now, you've got a couple of different abilities here. First of all, My Will Be Done, where once per battle round, 1 unit from your army with this ability can be targeted by a stratagem and reduce the cost by 1. And the Translocation Shroud as well gives you some nice maneuverability on the table for an army that otherwise can be relatively slow. You've also got the War Gear option to take a Resurrection Orb, which can help you get back some of your models via reanimation protocols. Next up we have Necron Warriors, the heart of any Necron army. They're pretty cheap points wise regardless of whether they go up or down slightly over the updates throughout an edition, and they can have 2 different types of main weapon. The first of these is the longer range Gulf Slayer, which has lethal hits and rapid fire 1, or the Ghost Reaper, which has 2 hits, normal and lethal hits, but loses that rapid fire, but also gains a point of AP but decreases in range to 12 inch. So you've got some options here on how you sort of want the units to act. Depending on what you're going to use those Necron Warriors for, depends on the weapon I would give them personally. If you're going to have a unit that's going to be trying to take objectives in your opponents or the mid-board, I'd definitely be going for the Ghost Reapers. Well, if you're going to have a unit that's going to sit on your own home objectives, I'd be looking to have the Ghost Flayers with that longer range, enabling them to affect the battle somewhat. You've got the Thy Number is Legion rule as well, where each time a unit's reanimated protocols activate, you can reroll the dice to see how many wounds are healed on them, making them a little bit more consistent in bringing models back to the unit. Now what's cool with every Necron Warriors kit, we actually get Canoptech Scarab Swarms as well. These are a swarm unit, and while they don't have too much to offer in the way of stats, with just toughness 2 and 4 wounds, and some lethal hits attacks at hitting on 5, though there are 6 of them, you've got a couple of different abilities. The first of these is Self-Destruct, where at the start of the fight phase, if this unit's within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, they can literally explode one of the models in their unit and do some mortal wounds. Chittering Swarm as well means while an enemy unit's within engagement range of the unit, you subtract 1 from their objective control, and whilst this unit's within 6 inch of 1 more crypt decks, the objective control characteristic of these models actually turns to 1 as well instead of 0, making them a nuisance. They've got enough wins that your opponent's going to have to put a certain amount of attacks into them, and they're just going to be a pain to deal with. Next up, we have a dual kit that can be built as one of 2 different Necron Elite Warriors, and the first of these options are the Lich Guard. Lich Guard have 2 main weapon options, either to take a Devastating Wounds War Scythe or the Hyperphase Sword, which has a more attack profile, and get some access to the dispersion shield to give the unit a 4+ invulnerable to go with toughness 5 and 2 wounds on a 3+ save. The Guardian protocols means while a noble model is leading the unit, each time attack targets unit, if the strength characteristic is greater than their toughness, you subtract 1 from the wound roll, making them pretty survivable and a good bodyguard for your Necron Overlord. The alternate build option for the kit are the Triarch Praetorians. Now these models have 2 different range weapon options which also can be used in combat. You've got the Particle Caster, which is a pistol with devastating wounds, or the Rod of the Covenant, which is a strength 5 -2 AP damage 2 range weapon with just 1 shot though, the Particle Caster having 3 in comparison. Like your Lich Guard, they are toughness 5 with a 3+ save and 2 wounds apiece, so a fairly chunky unit. And in combat, they can use both those weapons for relatively similar profiles. The Particle Caster gets the Void Blade that goes with it, so it is sort of the same weapon when you look at them. Relentless Combatants is really cool. This means you can reroll charge rolls made for the unit, and it's eligible to declare a charge even when they're fallen back. What's really cool as well is they do have the fly keyword, enabling them to jump over the battlefield where they need to. This is really useful for an army that is relatively slow. Once again, like the Necrons, to have units that can ignore that vertical terrain and just move at all times horizontally. And so, where to go next? The first place we're going to talk about looking is grabbing some more Triarch Praetorians and more Lich Guard. An extra box of each boostering of both those units up to 10 would be a great place to start, or even running multiple units of 5s of those units if you so wish. I think a unit of 10 Lich Guard joining our Overlord is going to be a great way to really get the most out of all the Lich Guard's abilities to have stratagems used on him and his unit together. The last one we're going to add is another one of the Triarch models, and this time a Triarch Stalker. This is going to provide us with a vehicle for the Force, a cool centerpiece model to go along with that Void Dragon we have, but also this is going to give us another dedicated anti-tank unit. Now you've got 3 different weapon options you can take on this. The Heavy Gauss Cannon, which is a 6-shot lethal hits weapon, or you've got the Particle Shredder, which is a blast weapon with devastating wounds that does d6+6 shots at an 18-inch range. My favourite though is the melter weapon of the Heat Ray. If you're going with the focus version, it gets melter 4, or the dispersed version gets 2d6 shots, ignores cover and torrent. So it could either be a flamer if you need it to, or it can be a melter weapon, a really cool versatile weapon option. Now other than that, you do have Scouts 8-inch as well with this vehicle in its core special rules. This is really cool because it enables this to get those guns into range nice and early. And targeting relay means in your shooting phase, each time this model selected to shoot after resolving its attacks, you select one enemy unit that was hit by one or more of its attacks, and that unit can't benefit from cover. So there is a way you want to play with this unit when you're using it on the table. You want this thing to be shooting first to enable other units to get their shots in when ignoring cover. And so our list today is going to be the Necrons using the Obesians Phalanx Detachment. Now we've got the Worthy Foes ability with us, where in our command phase we can select one enemy unit till the start of your next command phase. Each time an Overlord, Lich Guard or Triarch unit from your army makes an attack that targets that unit, you get +1 to wound. This is why we've gone heavy on the Lich Guard, the Triarch Praetorians, and taken the Triarch Stalker in our force as well. For the start of our force, we obviously have the epic hero, that is the Catan Shard of the Void Dragon. Into characters, we have a single one of them, and this is going to be our Overlord with Translocation Shroud, who will be our Warlord. For battle line, we have our unit of Necron warriors. We've gone with the Ghost Flayers, and they've got 10 models in the units. Infantry wise, we then have our unit of 10 Lich Guard, who are equipped with War Scythes for some really good damage dealing, and Triarch Praetorians with the Rods of the Covenant. Into swarms, we've got the 3 Canoptex Scarab Swarms joining the army as well. And lastly, we have our Triarch Praetorian Stalker with a Heat Ray equipped to give us the option of using either Flamer or Melter weaponry with it. We hope that you found this video helpful in getting started with Warhammer 40,000, and that it was able to give you some ideas and inspiration to start your own force in the game. If you have any further questions, please comment down below, and while you're there, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and join our Discord server to check out all of our future Warhammer 40,000 content.